Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in, welcome on, welcome to another episode of the Direct Podcast. Everything you need to know about the universes you love. I'm your host, Matt Romebke, and I'm joined as always by my friend, co-host, box office correspondent, and senior editor at the Direct.com, Mr. David Thompson. David, what up?
Rocking the horseshoe today,
That's
Matt.
right,
I
baby.
got dimes in my pocket. I'm feeling good.
That's right, Danny Dimes. We're here. It's an experience that I'm excited to rock with. An experience I think we could talk about. I'm not 100% sure with our very special guest today. You know him from My Mom's Basement, one of the best nerd brains on the internet right now, and Barstool Sports' very own, a friend of the show, Mr. Robbie Fox. Bob, how we doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here, excited to talk Daredevil, and I could talk a little bit of football, not a lot, but I'm aware of Indiana Jones yesterday.
Yes, yes, and I will say, what a nickname. You know what I mean? I feel like
Oh,
we
it's
did a
so
really
good.
good job there. That's good stuff. That's
That's a
something I could
nickname,
get
Matt,
behind.
right?
That
Like you were just
it's
going
a
on about, hyphenated the ARs and all
oh yeah.
this. This
No.
Indiana Jones is a name, man. That's a
It's so
nickname.
good.
Indiana Jones, Danny Dimes, Vanilla Vic. Is this the new Lorenzen? The king of nicknames here in the NFL. Nothing will be better than Lorenzen's nickname though. What was it again? The big guy. Pillsbury Throwboy. The
Oh, that's
Pillsbury
real good.
Throwboy at Kentucky. Yeah, good stuff. Robbie, we're very excited to have you on today. I have a question for you before we get started. Our whole thing here is kind of movies or sports. That's kind of what we lean into a little bit. Not totally not Barstool inspired for sure. I'm a stoolie. I'm a fan. I know there's a stable of movie guys there at Barstool. Jeff D'Lo, Ken Jack, Gooch, you, Clem. I feel like you maybe lean into the nerd side of it a little harder than everybody else. And I have a question for you. Do you feel like I do when there's a new episode of Daredevil or a new movie you're excited to come out? Kind of feels like game day a little bit or a
Oh,
big fight
yeah.
night. You
And
spend
I
all day
prepared for
pumped
game
about
day
it.
yesterday too. Like I was getting so excited. I saw a tweet that season two was filming in Williamsburg. I
Oh,
did geo-guesser work. I zoomed in on the street signs. I looked on Google Maps. I showed up to set yesterday and
there
I
we
met
go.
the actress that plays BB Urich. I was watching her film a cut in for season two. So I was in the mode. It felt like I was tailgating for Daredevil yesterday.
I mean, that's the shit, man. That's why movies are sports. The Venn diagram's the circle. It's all day. You're just excited about it. You get distracted. Like when the Colts play on Monday night, I get nothing done. And the same goes for Daredevil or a new movie. I think it's just a really fun time, especially when the show is good, right? Because when the show
Oh,
sucks, it's
it's
like being the shitty
relieving.
sports. Yeah.
Especially when you
Yeah.
cover it. Like if you're watching a show and it's not good, it is what it is. But if you cover it and you're watching, you don't want to talk about a bad show for an hour a week. Like nobody wants to do that. So it being
Yeah.
good and it being as good as it is just relieving. It's almost relieving more than anything.
Don't
Yeah.
utter
It's
its
all
name, Matt. Don't utter the show's name. That just came to mind. It's okay. We're moving past that. We're almost a year out.
a very recent Star Wars show, not the most recent Star Wars show, almost tore this
Oh
podcast
yeah.
apart. It was, man, what a slog that was. You know
Man,
what I mean? That was a tough one to come up with a winner or loser for every week. But this one is not, ladies and gentlemen. We're here today to talk about Daredevil Born Again, episode 3. Your starting lineup is Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk, Elliot Zarrer as Vanessa Fisk, Kamar fucking De Los Reyes as Hector Ayala. No shot. I'm never going to get that right. Margarita Leviana as Heather Glenn, Nikki M. James as Kirsten McDuffie, Kenya Walton as BB Urich, friend of Robbie Fox, of course. Arthi Frajan as Buck Cashman, great name. Michael Gandolfini, shout out as Daniel Blake, and Clark Johnson as Cherry. 4 downs, first down, overall thoughts, Robbie Fox. Your overall thoughts on Daredevil episode 3.
So really good overall thoughts. Like I read yesterday that this was originally episode two, and that was going to be like
Mm-hmm.
two and three were the first two episodes. So I thought that was interesting that the first two episodes originally were such a court drama. This was way more, court drama than action. But I guess
Yeah.
it's kind of in line with the original series as well. I did not watch the original series when it was live, when it was airing, when it was coming out on Netflix. Somehow it just slipped through the cracks for me, and I did a quick binge, watched like 39 episodes in 30 days before the series came out.
Jesus.
And one of my main takeaways of the original series was this guy's barely ever in the Daredevil suit. Season 1, he's got the homemade suit.
Yep.
Season 2, he wears it. And then Season 3, he's got the homemade suit again. He
Yep.
wears it in the Defenders. I get that too. And obviously we've seen him in it a couple times in the MCU. But like, I felt like my big takeaway from this episode was how much it felt like the original to me. How much it felt like it was in line with that tone. There wasn't, I know we got some complaints about some CGI in the premiere and whatnot. There wasn't any of that in this episode that looked the wrong way to me. It was all just kind of grounded stuff that really worked. It was the acting that carried everything in this episode, from Hector to Matt to the cop that played the guy on the stand with the black eye. Like, all of them were tremendous in this episode. So I thought it was really good. And obviously they're going to be doing a really good job with cliffhangers in this show, because they are 3 for 3 on them.
I swear Disney Plus is on a cliffhanger run right now. You know what I mean? Like they are ending episodes money. Like
Skeleton Crew had some good cliffhangers.
Yeah,
what I'm saying, man. That was my biggest takeaway every week with Skeleton Crew. Was like, they got me there at the end. It's really great.
Right.
It's like 90s SNL. Everything ends perfectly. It's a hell of a thing when the show is so almost like opposite of what top-down view of it would be. Like Daredevil, he's always bloody. He's always in these hallway fights. He's doing these swinging things. And you're right. Like they do hold back on that in a pretty good way. And I feel like diving into, people who watched the show originally, people who streamed it ahead of this new one, kind of like you and I did. And it's just, it's definitely a different perspective on it, but I personally think they're building that MCU coat with a really good base of the old show. And it feels like a good thing. And I wonder what, David, you're somebody who watched this like at a very formative time of your life. Like this was your fucking show in a really real way.
Yeah.
How does it feel the OGs plus MCU mix is working for you?
Kind of wanted to tear up at the end when he was talking to Heather about Foggy. Not gonna lie, that was big. Just because that's the thing. Like there was Robbie, you mentioned how it feels like the original, but there was something missing, in the courtroom drama of it all, right? Like he has a new partner. He's kind of doing it on his own. It feels like there's that born again kind of like sense to it, the reboot, quote unquote, kind of it all. I'm really happy in episode 1 we got him in the suit, even though it led to Foggy's death. Like, thank God we got that sequence, because you're right. If these were the first couple of episodes, I know that was a worry when they kind of reset the story and everything, that it was going to take several episodes to get him actually in the suit. So at least we got that, because to me, I thought Charlie Cox was just acting out of his mind in this episode. Yeah. He was so phenomenal, like so great. And what a difficult role. I mean, it goes back to the bare bones of it all. Like, he is blind, especially to the outside world. That's what everyone kind of believes him to be. But he has these senses where we know there's more to it. And like the way they were able to not only use his it's directly talked about in this episode of like, blind guy can throw a punch. And like then we have moments of him like reading his, White Tiger's heartbeat and the guy in the stand's heartbeat and all these things. And I think a lot of times we focus on the camera work, which is really cool. I love those aspects of like where we kind of had those pull moments and the re-rack focusing.
The lens flares.
Think about Charlie Cox's like face though. There's something, there's depth to it. And like it just, once again, he has mastered this character. And not only like Daredevil, I'm excited to see him back in the suit. Once again, whenever we get there, which seems like it's coming relatively soon, but honestly, it doesn't seem like that big of a rush. We got him in action without the Daredevil suit at the end of episode 2. So like maybe that could happen again. But I'm loving Matt Murdock right now as this lawyer who has this very fundamental goal right now to just be Matt Murdock and get justice in the courtroom, which is what he got. And it was a really satisfying episode, even though obviously the ending we'll talk about. Really satisfying episode, I think, as a Daredevil fan and as someone who is rooting for Matt Murdock to not have to put on the suit right now.
It's a really good way to put it. And Charlie Cox's acting has been phenomenal. I think all 3 episodes, this episode specifically, is this the hottest he's ever been as well? I mean, like when he's talking shit in the bathroom or cooking dinner, for God's sakes in there, like Charlie Cox is just a hot dude. And I'm learning that more and more every single week.
That's why he can't keep the ladies off of him. In the MCU, he's got She-Hulk. In the original series, he's got Karen and Elektra. It's like the ladies are coming. And David, you brought up a great point in how his goal right now is to just be Matt Murdock. I love how that it's like poetry. It rhymes with season 3 of Daredevil,
Yeah.
where he just wants to be Daredevil to start it. And he's putting Foggy and Karen on the back burner and being like, you guys are in danger. I just need to be Daredevil. Matt Murdock is dead. We're starting this season the complete opposite way. And it's like a cool way of bringing that narrative into new viewers as well. Like that's a big part of Matt Murdock is the struggle between Daredevil and Matt, just like it is for a lot of vigilantes in his position. And I feel like they're doing a really good job with that.
Yeah.
I never really thought of it that way because that's like I'm online, which is a horrible place to be, but we're there. And I feel like I'm seeing a lot of complaints. It's nitpicky-ish, but like we're kind of doing the same story as season 3, Daredevil no more, for lack of a better term. It's a good point though that they are flipping it on its head a little bit, almost without calling too much attention to it. You know, it like
Yeah.
because the Daredevil no more stuff from season 3 was very heavy-handed and it was very dramatic in a cool way. This is definitely just more focused on who Matt Murdock is, but he gets his little outlet defending White Tiger and having that conversation through him and like getting to kind of vent a little bit, which I think was just a really cool decision they made. And
One thing on that, Matt, it's like too in Born Again, that's way different than the original series, is that White Tiger actually is a major part of Hell's Kitchen, and like there's like it's almost like the vigilante team of White Tiger, Daredevil, Punisher, and Spider-Man that Fisk lists off in episode 1, I think, 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And that I think is a real like different base than what the Daredevil series had when we were just almost even more just honed in, focused on Matt's work. Now it's like vigilante versus police slash government, right? Slash the mayor.
Yeah, and it's that classic city versus Daredevil, Daredevil for the city kind of thing. And it's going to be really cool to see how they keep playing it up and keep playing it out, mixing the MCU and the OG stuff. David Thompson, second down, your biggest takeaway from episode 3, Daredevil Born Again.
My biggest takeaway was the structure of the courtroom drama. I thought there is so many avenues you can take with this stuff in any TV show. I mean, there's so many just procedural TV series out there. It can be boring. It can be a snore fest. This was a great front to back, 1 episode courtroom drama. I thought the pace of it was great. I love that we got a resolution in this episode. I loved all the elements to it where, you know, the incredible scene of the fake out with the you know the dirty rotten cop and our guy Cherry fakes him out, and then we finally get, you know, our key witness that we've been protecting, trying to not get killed for 2 episodes now, gets to the stand and lies, and it's like, oh my gosh, all leading to Matt Murdock, one last little trick up his sleeve, pulling out the White Tiger mask. What an incredible moment. Just like, oh, phenomenal. The actor that passed away that plays White Tiger also just great.
Really good.
Hit every mark. He had a great, just like emotional weeping like face, either in the jail cell, at the, you know, in the courtroom. It all just worked so beautifully for me. And like I mentioned at the beginning, I love that this episode was a resolution. We got to get a post-resolution cliffhanger, not a cliffhanger where it's like, will he be guilty or not? You know, that's kind of, I think, where I thought it might have gone, and I was really relieved that we got through that part.
Yeah, and that's kind of the typical issue with courtroom dramas. If it's going to be like a big episode, it's usually a 2-parter, and that's where it mixes up a little bit. I agree that like getting the full case in the courtroom, having it be this up and down battle, Matt doing the not good thing. You know what I mean? He said he wasn't going to bring it up. He brought it up anyway and said, you know what? You know, I'll ask for forgiveness. You know, this is a public case. Do what you're going to do. I also love the guy playing the other lawyer. Thought he was fantastic as well.
He was good too. He was the district attorney, is he right now?
Maybe. I would have to imagine with this big of a case, he's probably a big deal. He plays a therapist in Modern Family, and he's really great at that too. But yeah, man, just everything with the courtroom from front to back was like just good courtroom TV. And that's really cool to see in a way that like on paper, yes, this was the courtroom episode. It could be boring. One action scene, and it was the little rope-a-dope. You know, the little weird little car chase that they had. That's it. Everything else was just courtroom stuff, and it was held on great performances. Dude, shout out Camar De Los Reyes, dude. Like, what an unbelievable episode. That fucking story about the frogs, man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. And then they played it during the credits. Ooh,
Yeah.
that was good. That was
yeah.
good stuff.
Good
And
stuff.
yeah, and I think it's so well written and so well acted. They introduce his character just to kill him in this episode, right? And that's something that a lot of people could be like, "Oh my God, what a waste!" That's very typical MCU critique is, "Oh, what a waste this was of a character," right? I feel like they played it perfectly to where it was dramatic at the end, and like we're shocked at that moment. Also, Game of Thrones, anybody can get it. Literally anybody can get it,
Yeah.
and and I think that this guy knew he had one episode to do his damn thing, and he did the damn thing. Like R.I.P. in peace. Unbelievable performance by this guy. This is how the MCU crowd's gonna remember this dude. What a move! What a great move postpartum. It was great.
I wonder if we get like flashbacks of his action, right? Because I feel like that was kind of
I
a
wonder the
weird
same thing.
waste where it's like we hear
Yeah.
all about the what do they call it? The emblem? I'm getting that wrong.
The
Amulet.
amulet.
Amulet. Yeah, like oh my gosh, enhanced powers and abilities. And it's like, okay, cool. Like shit. Like let's see this, man. Like
Does that
what does
get
it look
passed
like?
down to someone? Does he have a nephew or a niece or
Is there
someone
another
that can
white
take up the
tiger?
mantle? I don't know.
Mm,
That's what
But
the
that
comics
that is
say.
a good point because they brought that up so much we never really got to see it other than like a security cam footage or whatever.
For sure. I do love that. Like one of the funnier memes coming out of this was Matt very seriously like, nope, he was not wearing his amulet. Why would he not wear his amulet? Like
Yeah.
nerd shit is on another level in this show, and I'm really
yeah.
digging it. Yeah, dude, the courtroom drama I thought was great. If I may, I'm gonna go with fourth down. My overall takeaway, it's something that it's a seed that they planted heavy in this episode, and I hope it works out. Put it in your tickler file, if you will. I said last week that I think the Punisher stuff is going to be an entire section of this show. I think this week confirms it's going to be its own episode, like a one big episode. The way we got, like, this is the White Tiger episode, more or less. We're gonna get one or two of the Punisher Cops episode, and I think like that is such a big task they're taking on because like not to get too real, whatever, but like the Trump stuff they're doing in this, polarizing to say the very least, right? But they're doing it in a very awesome, nuanced way where you know exactly what it is, but it's never too much. And it just feels real and gritty because it is so real and gritty. The Punisher Cops thing, that's a big deal. It's a big storyline to tackle. And I'm excited that we're going to get John Bernthal to do it. I'm excited that we're going to probably get one or two episodes dedicated to it, and all the different ways they hinted at it this week makes me think that we're going to get that. My only hesitation is, are you just going to introduce it to say that you did it, or are you actually going to like do like a big story about it, or like say some real
Mhm.
shit about this incredibly polarizing real thing that's happened to the Punisher logo? And as silly as that might be, it is something that's happened to the Punisher logo, and they're going to tackle it here. It's going to be really interesting to see how hard they go at it. And I think like that's going to be a big talking point coming out of the show was the Punisher stuff they did.
Absolutely.
I
Robbie, what
also
did you think of the
wonder,
ending? Yeah.
I mean, I love the ending. Like my big takeaway was that this show is going to keep us on our feet and it's going to zig when we think it's going to zag. Like
Yeah.
if I could make a little sports analogy on this, it almost
Please.
feels like a bet that you were like, oh, like you bet an over 100 or whatever. The first half, and these numbers aren't going to make any sense. The over's 100. First half, they put up 75 points. And you're like, okay, I don't even have to check this bet. It won. You go to bed, you wake up the next morning, it lost. And you're like, what happened there? We were watching them suit up. We were
Yeah.
watching them go to work. We were like, here we go. And then boom, right when you thought it was a good win, it was not a win. It was a loss. And that
Yeah.
was like my big, like, holy crap, you can't look away for a second. You think the episode's over. No, it's not. I mean, the three episode endings I thought were also good. The first one with him and Fisk looking
Oh my
back and forth,
gosh.
the red
Yes.
lighting on him, Fisk looking up almost like Daredevil was on the corner of a building, like everything about that. Then episode two goes without saying, that action scene, bringing Matt back to the old him. Amazing. They're
Perfect.
3 for 3. And I'm kind of blown away at how good the episode endings are. My takeaway also could have been like, I didn't realize, I feel like how big of a courtroom drama fan I was until I
Yeah.
started watching the original series. Like I love like My Cousin Vinny and I like the scene in Ted 2 and the end of Legally Blonde. Like I have weird friggin' marks of what a courtroom drama is. Not
Legally
the
Blonde
greatest ones of
kicks
all time,
ass.
but
Legally Blonde
great
kicks
ending.
ass.
The perm, you kick on the shower with the
Incredible.
perm. It's great. It's great.
Shout out
But
Carly.
this, like watching an episode of the court, I was like so excited that we were just getting courtroom stuff. When he pulls up the mask, when he points out the black eye, I'm told that you have a black eye. Like I hope everything's all
Yeah.
right. It was such a
Yeah.
friggin' great line. So
It's
yeah, like
incredible.
my big takeaway is that it's gonna zig when we think it's gonna zag, and kind of like you said, Game of Thrones style, nobody's safe, and I love that. That's a realm we need to be in with the MCU right now. It's going to draw more people in, I think, that are maybe down on the MCU to realize, oh, this show has stakes, and they're not
Mhm.
world-ending stakes; they're just Hell's Kitchen stakes. But that's what made the
Yeah.
first show so great. So yeah, that's my main takeaway is the ending.
Yeah, man. I think that everything that they're doing is setting up such a big swing of a show down the road. You know what I mean? Like they are going to go all in with this stuff that they're setting up, and the ending just emphasizes it. Like, what the hell do you think Pat's reaction is going to be to this? Like, it's going to be crazy when he hears
I would
this
have
written
to
down.
imagine when he hears it. We saw there in the trailer, there's a scene where it looks like they're both in prison or whatever. Is it gonna be like he hears it, goes confronts John Bernthal, confronts Frank, and he's like, "This
Mhm.
wasn't fucking me," and then they're gonna go tackle it together? I would assume that's like a 2 episode arc, at
Yeah.
Yeah.
least. Him going and visiting him, them figuring out what's going on, and then them going against it. Does it end with the Punisher changing his logo? Because I know he's done that in the comics before, where he has
Mm.
more of a samurai-inspired Punisher logo as
Hmm.
well. And I've seen
I
some people posting that and bringing up theories, and I can almost see it. If the cops are taking his logo and they all got it tatted on their neck, on their wrist,
Jesus.
wherever, I don't know.
That was kind of what I was saying. Like, what are they going to do to resolve that? Like, are they changing
Yeah,
the logo, or is someone making a statement? I don't know who it is, but like John Bernthal's not going to make a statement. You know what I
it,
mean? Like what is the final point of that? That's what I'm wondering.
I've seen like the thought process of like people are jumping to the conclusion that it was a cop at the end, that it's like affiliated with the cops. What if they're affiliated with Fisk? Like we don't really totally
true.
know just based on that one look, because the cops up all until now have like tattoos, like little logos on their like wrists or something, not this giant thing across its chest. It feels more, that makes it feel more like a plant, right?
Yeah,
Where
and
you're
Fisk has
trying.
done that in the past, right? I mean, season 3
Exactly.
of Daredevil, that's his MO.
Right. You're trying to pin something on someone else. And he shouted out Punisher when he was listing off those vigilantes that he's against. So he would also have something. And he takes an L in this. He takes 15 L's in this episode. Like he is just like, that was one of my kind of like takeaways of the episode too, was like Fisk just not enough of him. It makes me feel like it's gonna be like a bounce back week next week where we get like a
Right.
ton more of Vincent D'Onofrio and just like taking every L imaginable. Like his
Yeah.
wife's over him. Buck's like, oh, I'm here for the man, and it's like, oh shit, like things really have changed with their dynamic. Really great stuff. He got his omelet at least. I was happy for him. He got another perfect
Yeah.
looking omelet. I'm glad he hasn't changed up his eating habits, but
They're showing he's
overall,
bulking up. By the end of the season, he'll
yeah,
look like Into the Spider-Verse Kingpin.
I know he's so thin right now. Like I want to see him pack on the muscle or like just the weight in general. But yeah, like I am so curious the direction they do with the ending, like who that was, how it's framed, and then obviously, like you guys were just mentioning, how then getting Frank Castle into the mix and how all of that works. I don't know, and I was curious what you guys' thoughts on this was too. I kind of mentioned it earlier. It doesn't feel like Daredevil's coming that soon, and I don't know what would spring him into
Yeah.
action. I
I don't know.
guess this
I'd be
maybe.
surprised if he was in the next episode in the suit at
Yeah.
this
Because
Because
point.
why? Right? Like
Yeah.
right.
White
Unless maybe
Tiger.
by the end, you could, I guess you could do an episode by the end, he puts the suit on and that's the cliffhanger for next week. But I don't
Yeah, I
think
was
we're
just
getting
about
like
to
him
say.
fighting crime in the suit or anything like that.
Does it also feel like we're kind of heading towards a Matt Murdock is Daredevil moment?
I am Spider-Man.
Because
Yeah.
like, Frank
Hmm.
Castle's the Punisher. White Tiger's alias, was revealed. I mean, the whole No Way
Wild.
Home Spider-Man, but
Does
like
that ruin? Is he out of the court at that point though?
He would have to be, right?
or
He would
maybe he's
have to
not.
be.
I don't know.
Maybe he's not. She-Hulk's
Maybe
out
he's
there
not. I'm
doing
sure they've
shit.
done it in the
Yeah, right.
comics before.
She-Hulk.
Yeah. True.
Jin's out there fighting cases, which, by the way, I'm almost 100% positive this was the same courtroom from She-Hulk. Like it really
Oh, you
felt
think it
like
The
was?
set.
it felt like it. It felt like a repurposed
Yeah.
set. I don't know, because isn't there that scene where old girl busts through the wall and like they have that fight in the courtroom?
And
It
then
felt
they
like it was
redo it, and then yeah,
yeah, good stuff. I like She-Hulk.
me too.
Yeah, David. You hear that, David? I like She-Hulk. I'm not afraid to say it.
It was
Shout
okay.
out
It had some
me.
moments.
Shout out me.
It did have it had its moments. The highs were pretty good. The Daredevil episode in general was pretty good.
Yeah, I
That's my
agree.
argument. The highs were great. The CGI at the final episode, some of the best we've ever seen.
Pretty good.
Just
The
say
CGI before that,
maybe not,
not the
maybe
best we've
not,
ever
Robbie.
seen.
But it's about how you finish. Vince McMahon, right? It's
Yeah.
all
Someone
about how you
pointed out,
finish.
I saw someone pointed out that Daredevil's cameo appearances in She-Hulk are like very similar to how he appears in your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, like runtime wise and first
Yeah.
appearing with an action sequence on like some high lofting
Oh
like
yeah,
building. So funny.
yeah, it's a mod. Yeah, those are our biggest takeaways. A zig and zag from Robbie, the courtroom drama, from David, and what are they going to do with the Punisher stuff from me? And when we move on to our top plays, na 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 na. I figured it out. Last week I couldn't figure out what part of the theme to do, and I chose that one. And I feel like I did the right move.
It worked.
Thank you. Hey, if you want to throw a bass line on that, send it over. That'd be great.
Oh yeah. We're in the Pop Punk studio right now. We've got the guitars back there.
Oh my
Already.
gosh. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The future fathers and all engaged pup punk, by the way, right?
Yeah, I know.
Is it everybody
yeah.
having a kid or getting married?
Not very rock and roll, but yeah.
No, it's new age rock. Congrats to you.
Thank you.
And Frankie and Ron as well. Top place. Robbie, what were some of your favorite moments, little scenes, little lines, whatever it was from the show that we haven't talked about already?
All right, so we did mention this, but I mentioned it. The line Matt had saying he heard the cop had a black eye. That was
Awesome.
maybe my favorite line in the episode. I loved that. Someone in court being gotten to or lying right as Matt has the whole thing figured out. That is classic Daredevil. You look at it with the final season, Agent Nadeem with the courtroom, people being gotten to, Fisk being in their pocket, whatever. That just felt classic. I really loved the BB Urich cutaways to break the show up when they change the aspect ratio and we just get a vibe of New York City. I said to Clem on our podcast, it's starting to feel like New York is a character in this show, like it was in Spider-Man 2, which is one of my favorite parts of that whole movie, is that New York feels like palpable.
Yeah.
Who is Adam? What was Adam thinking? Sleeping with
What is this
Kingpin's
guy?
lady.
That's what I'm
Who is?
saying.
We keep hearing Adam. This guy,
We
every
asked-
time I hear his name, I scream at the television. Who is Adam?
We
and
asked
then
comic
obviously-
expert. I'm sorry, Robbie. I'm sorry. We asked comic expert Jenna Anderson last week if Adam had any comic book ties. He doesn't. So it could be anybody, literally.
Well, they kept saying the swordsman is going to be in this from Hawkeye, and I was like, his name wasn't Adam, but did he tell Vanessa it was Adam? Is he the Tinder swindler of the MCU? I don't know what's going on.
I would
I
love
need
that.
to know what's going on with Adam, though.
Or is Vanessa telling Fisk his name is Adam?
Exactly. And he's suave guy, you know. He was sleeping with Kate Bishop's mom, I know, in that show. But then Kate Bishop's mom going to jail, I think, by the end of that show, right? Kate Bishop was like, I don't care that you're my mom. Send her away in the cop car.
Shout out Vera Farmiga looking fantastic in that show, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
She's another level
But
high.
now,
Every-
is Swordsman sleeping with Vanessa? Was that her type? Is Vanessa kind of like a Vera Farmiga? I don't know.
Is there anybody more anti-Fisk than Tony Dalton and Hawkeye? like with the mustache. And, hey, how you doing? You know, the exact opposite guy. That'd be crazy. David, do you have any top plays?
Yeah, I wrote down the BB report because I loved that too. Like the look at New York, and then also just like I just like the way they're cut together. And then that also followed up with a secondary one of Fisk asking I forgot the character's name.
Gandolfini.
Yeah, Gandolfini's character's
Derek,
name.
is it Derek or son? David? Something with a D, I think.
It's Gandolfini, guys. We know that.
It
Okay.
is. Yeah,
We know what
yeah.
this is.
Yeah.
We'll take it. But the fact that like that woman's like, you know, we have connections to like the Times, and he's like, no, screw you. Like, I
Yeah.
want get BB back in this room, and I love that. I love like the new school element of that, where it's like new media. Like people probably actually like watch the BB report and like pay attention to it on YouTube or wherever you can get it. And I thought that was really interesting. And also very cynical because it's like he might be thinking he has something to hang over her head because he killed her, I think, what, grandfather or uncle?
Uncle.
So that was definitely a top play. And then one like thing they didn't do that I thought was a top play was they didn't have like flashbacks to the actual subway scene in the episode.
Oh yeah,
They just
true.
explained it. Like they just
Yeah.
had the one guy lie through his teeth about it, and then they had the White Tiger actually explain what happened. And typically, I feel like in TV shows like this, they would be showing right. They would be like cutting back and forth. I really appreciated how they didn't do that, and they really just let the actors cook and deliver the dialogue, and it worked really well.
And boy, did
I
they
agree.
both of them. Like the guy who plays Hector, obviously, we talked about it. Unbelievable. Robbie, you mentioned it. The guy that played the cop, so Irish, but
He was really
also
good. Yeah,
so
yeah.
fantastic. So fantastic up there. And him and Charlie in the bathroom as well. Like that
Really
guy
good.
crushed. Like he's having a great season here as well. I got two, can't believe it wasn't mentioned. First one, Heather's speech in the hollow of his hand or whatever. Like that whole speech about the case and somebody else and Foggy, like that was just a really great scene. Like, that curly-headed queen is perfect for Matt. And if anything like that
Yeah.
happens to her, I'm gonna be upset. I'm just gonna be a little upset, and I'm preparing myself for that. Guys, our first Morales drop since Spider-Man No Way
Oh,
Home.
that's right.
Spider-Man
Yeah.
Homecoming. Yeah,
And I
Officer
was
Morales.
the dope that was like, wait, Davis Morales, and I had to like rework my brain to remember that he does change his name to Morales. He's Canon Morales. But when they said it in the moment, I was like, was that a reference? Was it not? Was it an Easter egg? What's going on here?
No way it wasn't, right?
It had to be.
in back-to-back Spider-Man drops here in Daredevil,
Yeah.
like just hitting us right where we
But it's a
itching us
tease
where
because we know you can't use them.
Right.
No, but I kind of like it
But
though.
we'll
It kind
get
of
there
works.
one day. Yeah, I like that. I mean, even though like I'm the kind of nerd that them saying adamantium in Brave New World, I was like, all right, it's at least got to count for something, right, guys? They said adamantium.
Harrison Ford saying adamantium in the MCU for the first time.
Do you not love
Nirvana.
that? Yeah.
Nirvana. like that's
Yeah.
that's peak. That's peak stuff. And then we also talked about it, but the quick eye frogs at the end with the credits. I mean,
Oh, that
what
was
in, 'cause
chef's
that was that
kiss
guy's
on the
moment.
episode.
That was that guy's moment. That speech was riveting, and it
Yeah.
was so well done. And I think it was tribute to put that at the end.
It
Just,
was, hey, it was riveting. How about that?
come on, this is why you're a pro. This is why you're a pro. And that's something that we need more of here on the internet world. Here talking about Daredevil Born Again. Robbie, thank you so much for joining us today. Check out My Mama's Basement on the Barstool Sports with Robbie and Clint breaking this down every week, and all other nerd music and wrestling and fighting and all the stuff your big brain does. What
All
else you
random
got coming up?
stuff. There's something for everyone in the basement, you know?
Absolutely. And that's what a good basement is, man. Something for
Yeah.
everybody to do. A Nintendo 64 only has 4 plugs. You need more stuff.
Yeah.
Other than that, what else you got going on? What can people look out for?
Pup Punk, we're gonna have dates not till the fall, so that's
Okay.
way in the distance because of the babies joining the band soon.
Sure.
And they are joining the band. We're putting them to work right away. They'll join the road crew.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
But the only other thing I would plug, I'm gonna do a giant May 4th stream this year. We're gonna do a 24-hour live stream from May the 4th to the Revenge of the 5th. Celebrate the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. It's gonna be a good time.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome. That's very awesome. Star Wars is dope, and we all need to remember that every week. That's not in our lives because it's coming back, baby. Andor.
Oh, yeah,
Very
it's
Close.
Oh yeah.
Very excited. Fuck yeah. Robbie, thank you so much. David, we'll be back on Monday to talk about news, and get ready for some Mission Impossible rewatches here soon, because that's also coming, and it's going to be a marathon for sure. For Robbie and David, I'm Matt. Until then, we'll see you next time.